And when I started the program, it all started with getting some blood work done to understand what was going on and to see if there was a pattern that matched what a lot of other people in your program experienced, and to see if there were similarities in the way my blood work looked like compared to others. And it was pretty much the same gap. So that's the starting point. And then through your program, you get assigned to a physician who then monitors your care and puts you on supplements. And also, if you're low in certain hormones, those hormones as well. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is completely personalized based on the needs of the individual. And we get that, we're able to ascertain the needs through kind of two pathways. One is their kind of subjective analysis, a symptomatology report, and how their life is going. And then that's a subjective route. And then number two is the objective route, which is the lab. So the results of the blood work. And from that, the provider is going to be able to understand in excruciating detail what is going on with that individual and how one objective evidence can influence subjective outcomes and vice versa. And now, because what was fascinating with me was like, hey, because you're deficient in growth hormone and you're deficient in free testosterone and you're deficient in vitamin D, well, guess what the research says this leads to? Mood disorders, low levels of energy, low cognitive functioning, memory issues, these things. So it was like dissecting me to the T, just by saying, hey, these are the things that you need to make, that your body's not making anymore, or they're not making enough of it due to the trauma. And how do I know the trauma was there? Because of the neuroinflammatory mechanism that's going on. And like you talked about earlier, that's not going to show up on any imaging, as fancy as it could be. So that's really that underlying cause there that's oftentimes being missed, is that neuroinflammatory state. That when that goes into a chronic situation, like more than 30 to say 90 days, well, that's when it really starts to kill off that cell-to-cell communication, those deficiencies where those hormones, those important hormones are being produced, or the messages being sent to be produced is inhibited. And that's when you start to have the real downstream consequences. That's oftentimes what's missed. So when people are able to come into our program, because we have those two things that we're looking at, the subjective and the objective, well, we're usually able to identify it with a high level of competency and success. And then even better than that, like we talked about, treat that specific to the individual. Cool thing about Dr. Michael Lewis is he was the DoD's foremost expert on the identification and treatment of traumatic brain injury. And like you talked about, he did some just groundbreaking studies. One of them, like you talked about with omegas and suicide. And so what they were able to do is they were able to, and to go back to Walter Reed, so they had this great sample size, and because they had the biggest blood bank in the world, look at individuals that committed suicide and look at their blood. And they had a great control group, people who didn't commit suicide, and look at their blood. And what did he find? He find that the causal link that they felt was a huge leading indicator was people that were high in omega-6, low in omega-3, were much more correlated to suicide than even witnessing a loved one die in combat. Well, so, and he also had a natural solution to combat and to mitigate that. You think that the Army and the military would have championed that, but no, they swept that under the rug like it was nobody's business, like it was yesterday's news. So that's a level of expertise we're able to bring into our program. Dr. Gordan we have on one coast, Dr. Lewis we have on another, and we kind of match up our participants with where they're at geographically and the unique needs of the individual, and as well as some other providers. But yes. So I'm just kind of rambling there, John. But that is the process of trying to identify those discrepancies, and more importantly, for individuals like you and I, actually doing something about it, actually treating the underlying condition at a personalized level.